To be living elemental is to be living a more balanced life. I'm your host, Sara and the founder of Jade Scott Design. Through my interior design studio and feng shui practice, I awaken clients to the idea that their home is just as essential to their well-being as is to their mind and bodies. Essentially, nature's elements create balance and support, and through the lens of home, we can utilize their power when applied intentionally. Through this podcast, it is my intention to open you up to the idea that by living elemental through mind, body, and spirit will have a significant impact on your home and your life. I've recently announced that my family and I are making a cross-country move from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, all the way to Austin, Texas. And while we've known for a while now, I'd say at least the last 4 weeks, the momentum is really building strong. And we're now at the 3-week mark until we physically move out of the home. And of course, they say moving is one of the most stressful times in our life. It's right up there with experiences like death and divorce, right? Not to be doom and gloom, but it is a really stressful time. And even though it's a positive and exciting move for our family, it's the emotional strain is what is hitting hardest. And I really think that's true for anybody, regardless if the move is a positive experience that comes out of a desire to leave, or if it even comes from a more negative viewpoint, such as a divorce or a breakup or some other, what seems to be in the moment, unfortunate situation. So, I want to talk a little bit about that. And I'm also going to provide you with 5 tips for a successful exit. I'm finding it really interesting, the things we take for granted within our homes. Even for someone like me who practices feng shui quite regularly, I've come to know this home on a very deep and intimate level. And it really still surprises me the things that come up. I've come to recognize this now as my intuition. This is what I mean when you hear me say that your home speaks to you. It's speaking to you on an energetic level, which is where your intuition resides. So, I'm going to share a little bit about what's been coming up for me. I've been spending the last several weeks doing a pretty invasive clean out and declutter. And more so I, being extremely discerning about what I plan to pack and take along with us to our new home. My husband and I have decided that we are selling pretty much everything from a furnishings perspective, with the exception of some artwork and decor that we want to keep. But all of the larger pieces of furniture we would like to leave behind. At the time of recording this, we do have some interest from the buyers who want to buy some pieces. So we're hoping to make it a smooth transition. It would be wonderful if I could just leave everything as is and just hit the road. But we are getting a pod, which will be delivered here in 2 days. And whatever fits in the pod goes, whatever doesn't gets left behind. I don't feel that the traditional aesthetic that I have here in this home will go with the more modern aesthetic of our new space. Currently, I'm in a 1950s colonial, hardwood floors, antique furniture that I've incorporated most of it secondhand, with the exception of few pieces here and there. But overall, just very traditional in style and taste. And we're moving to a black and white, more on the modern side of things, with a little bit more bling in the light fixtures and such. So very different. And we're really excited to embrace that. So we're taking as little as possible. Things moved really quickly with this move. We found out sort of the end of July that it was a possibility. My husband's employer approached him and asked him if he was interested in taking a rather significant role with the company that required a relocation to Texas. My husband and I have always been up for anything. So we said yes to the opportunity pretty much sight unseen. Never been to Texas, never been to Austin. The kids, I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, so they're still in elementary school. My son will be attending middle school next year. They are ready to go. They seem very excited. If you missed the previous episodes, I did an interview with my son. We had switched schools a few years ago, and he was struggling to make friends there. And so we did an intuitive exercise and some feng shui adjustments to help him. So if you're interested in listening, those are just previous to this one. But I bring it up because, they're going to switch schools again. So there's a lot going on for not just me, but also for the children. And so I'm also asking them to be really discerning about what they want to take. I feel they're at a point in their life where it's a lot less toys and it's more electronics, or in my daughter's case, it's a lot more crafts and art supplies and things like that. So I'm asking them to also be really discerning about, like, do you play with this? Are you going to miss this? Is it okay if you miss it? Can you still part ways with it? Do you think there's someone else that could enjoy this toy? So instilling in them that it's okay to part ways with things that we don't play with anymore. And we do that by listening and discerning, right? Again, listening to your home through your intuition. If you're quiet enough and you create the space, you can hear. I was in the basement cleaning, and there was a small leak in the window, and it was like in the glass block window. It was raining pretty heavy. And I got really upset like right away. And I thought, don't do this to me. No, I don't need any issues with the basement. At this time, we were just listing the house. We were getting all the listing requirements done. And I thought, oh my gosh, don't do this to me now. And then I sort of shifted my perspective and I thought, okay, let me look this from an energetic perspective. Like, what's going on in the home? Like, why now? And what came to me in that moment was my home is sad. It's sad I'm leaving. Like, it's almost like it's crying. And maybe that's true. Maybe that's not. But what it allowed me to do was shift my perception. And instead of giving back some negative energy of why do you have to do this? Oh, it sprung a leak. What does that mean? Now, and going down this like rabbit hole of negative thinking, having that thought come through intuitively from higher guidance was no, your home is sad, you're leaving. Like, you've created a nice space here. And I'm a firm believer in treating your home with respect, love, and kindness, just as you would another person or human. And I'm a firm believer in leaving your home in better conditions than you found it. And we have certainly done that here. So I do feel like that perspective really helped me just kind of shift my mindset on how I reacted to it. And I patched up the hole with a little caulking. All it was the little glass block window in the basement. Water was just getting in between the mortar, and it just needed a little Band-Aid, just like a little child needs a Band-Aid when they get a cut. Sometimes we just need to be a little more tender with our words and our thoughts and even our actions, even if it is just being directed at your home. So listening and discerning is number 5 on the list for a successful exit or sale of your home. Next is decluttering. And we talked about decluttering already. It kind of coincides with discerning what stays and what goes. But what else I want to say about decluttering is just really being mindful about what you have stored. And emotionally, things are going to start surfacing as you start to clean out closets and basements and attics. And again, remember, like, we typically tend to store things in those areas One, because we don't need them all the time, and that makes me think of holiday decor or maybe childhood memorabilia, things like that. But really being mindful that sometimes we hold on to certain things because there's some sort of an emotional attachment to them. And if it's something that we're not necessarily ready to expose ourselves to, then we tend to store things in the back of the closet, the basement. It's almost as if it's out of sight, out of mind. But remember, we're not talking about our physical senses, we're talking about energetic attachments. So, those emotional attachments are still keeping you tethered by this emotional string. So, just be prepared to really go through some of these things. If you're getting ready to move out of a home, this is a great time to set the intention of going through things that you maybe haven't been ready to go through in the past. Just know that your home and the timing of this move is there to support you. But I will say, on the flip side of that, is if you're truly not ready to not force yourself, but just to be aware enough to realizing when you feel the tug of war you might be having with yourself about going through some of these things. So it could be things like childhood memorabilia, gifts and mementos of past relationships. It could be passed down furniture from, grandparents or parents and things that you've held on to out of maybe guilt or shame. Like you would feel bad getting rid of it. If anything brings up a negative emotional state or some sort of negative energy, to recognize that. And only you can decide if you're ready to let things go, but to at least be in the awareness of what's coming up for you. And this could be a really great time to maybe just pull out a notebook or a small journal and just make note of what comes up. And again, going through this right now, I know that we already feel so overwhelmed by what's happening around us as far as the move goes itself. But really taking the time to be a little bit more present with our stuff and know that we have the energetic support to sort of push us through some of these things we've been avoiding for some time. So, decluttering is number 4 on the list for a successful exit. And number 3 is depersonalizing. So, it's pretty typical. Even a real estate agent is going to tell you in preparation for sale, you really need to depersonalize your space. Um, so that's removing photographs and artwork that seems very personal. Like there are things that will work in a staged environment that appeal to many people. And those are things like landscapes or nature, like flowers or trees. Things like that are okay to stay. But any artwork that seems, just very personalized to you, like it might not appeal to everyone, I'd just be mindful of that. And so removing those items from the home, or at least getting those items packed away. Another way to depersonalize is to kind of neutralize the space a bit. So if you have a lot of bold colors in the house through your dish towels and your bathroom linens or your bedding, it might be wise to just buy some more neutral things because, again, the goal is to appeal to a broader set of buyers. A lot of times, those bold, loud colors sort of take away from the home because it's the first thing the eye is drawn to. So we just want to allow the potential buyer to envision themselves in it. Perhaps just go to Home Goods or TJ Maxx, grab a set of white bath towels, white hand towels, or some neutral, gray or beige or something with very little color and pattern to, again, neutralize the space to help depersonalize it. You can certainly add pops of color here and there. Like something I did for our staging was I put out fresh flowers and plants. I pulled in all the plants from my sunroom and I just staged a few on some consoles and hutches and tables where I don't typically have plants just because they don't get enough sunlight. But for the staging purpose, they brought some life and color into the room. I also put out bowls of fresh oranges and fresh apples on the counters in the kitchen. Just engaging the senses brought a sense of wellness to the space too. Again, it just helps give off an energy along with aesthetics. So, number three is depersonalizing. Number two is a thorough cleaning. I am pretty on top of my cleaning game, but one of the things I realized was how much more clean I could have been in my home. Really little things like, you know, keeping the dryer lint off of my dryer and washing machine in the basement and not having liquid detergent like dripping down the side. And like I stared at that for months. It's little things like that. And just giving the washer and dryer a complete wipe down was like such a difference. I mean, it honestly made the whole laundry room look more bright and fresh than it had in months. And it was simply because I had a dust and like dripping laundry detergent. Like little things like that. Um, Things like cleaning the baseboards and dusting all the light fixtures. I have a lot of linen drum lights in my house. So taking a lint roller to all of those made a world of difference. And I thought to myself, why didn't I do this on a regular basis? Like it is so noticeable. And I just didn't do those things routinely. If that feels overwhelming to you, on top of packing and preparing and making a million phone calls, like I get it. Trust me, I'm in the throes of it. I totally understand. Spend the $500 and have someone come in and do a deep clean. I seriously wanted to do that, but we ended up doing some minor home improvements before, so it just wasn't in the budget to splurge on that. But if you have the funds, just get the decluttering done a day or two before your showing or photo shoot, whatever, your open house. Hire someone in and get a really deep clean. I think you will see a return on investment on that. So number two is a thorough cleaning and a space clear. And space clearing kind of ties in with number one. My number one tip for a successful exit is saying goodbye to your home and giving it a really genuine send off. Again, we're working with energy. For some people, this might sound a little woo woo. I don't really care. To me, it's an important thing to do, to be quite honest. There are still parts of me that wants to go drive past my childhood home and sort of see it one last time because I really don't know how often I will get back here. I just don't know. So there's something about saying goodbye to your home and saying goodbye in a way that's very personal to you. I mean, for me, I've raised both of my children here. I've started a business here. The symbolism of my home means a lot to me in its numerology. It being a nine house, it has this sense of completion and new beginnings. And that I feel that energetically on so many different levels. So giving your home a proper goodbye is probably one of the best things you can do to let it go. And it really ties in with the depersonalizing and space clearing. So after you have decluttered, you've given it a thorough cleaning, you've depersonalized everything, you can then do a space clearing. And I've talked about space clearing before. You can do it many different ways. You can do it through sound, if you have bells, or if you have singing bowls or chimes, clapping even. Denise Lynn is one of the experts in clearing space, and she even recommends things like clapping. You can also use smoke. So any sort of smudge stick that you like, Palo Santo, all ethically sourced. Please be mindful of how you're sourcing these items. Or even just incense sticks. Sometimes the incense sticks are a little bit easier. They tend to spread their smoke a little bit better without it being so overwhelming. That's also a great option too. I recommend starting if you have basements and garages, just starting at the bottom and working your way up through the home, the main level, and then if you have a second or third story, working your way the stairs. But the whole purpose of doing a space clearing at the sale of your home or before an open house kind of goes along with depersonalizing. It sort of resets the energy of your home. I suggest making a clear intention. If you have a number that you would like to sell your home for, or a particular buyer, or what any intention that has meaning for you, this is a great time to sort of set that intention, walk through the space, clearing it, gently speaking to your home. When I did my space clearing before our open house, it was a really emotional moment for me, just being so intentional. I just was so gracious and so thankful to my home, and I kept thanking it. And it's been there for us. It's going to be there for the next person. And just really keeping the moment tender, I think really helped. And for me personally, it helped me work out some of the emotions I was holding on to because up until that point, it had been go, 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 declutter, clean, pack, make phone calls, all the things, and I hadn't had a moment to sort of just be with my home on an emotional level, and so the space clearing is what really allowed me to be vulnerable. It was very intimate for me in the space, and so it'll help you sort of depersonalize it, set a new intention for the sale of the home. You're not necessarily setting the intention for the new homeowner, but you're setting your intention for the sale and how you would like the sale of your home to go. This is a great time to practice manifestation or the law of attraction just by setting the intention and believing that whatever you have set is yours, and just watch what happens. This is also a great time to connect intimately, give thanks to your home and saying goodbye to it in a more ceremonial type ritual. Space clearing might be all you need, but you can also do this with a cord cutting session. This is typically done with another person or a particular situation or a negative event or even negative thoughts. But for the purposes of detaching yourself from your home, you could also utilize the cut the cord ritual. You would just imagine a cord extending from your solar plexus, which, if you're unfamiliar with the chakras, it sits between your bottom rib cage and your navel. And you would just raise your arm over your head and bring it down fast, down across the front of your body, and sort of verbalizing that you are cutting the cord between you and your home. You could do this as many times as you want or need to, but this is the energetic disconnect from your home. And some people really need that sort of ritual to let go. If you don't set the intention of detaching yourself from your space, anyone potentially walking through the home will still be able to feel your energy there. Most people won't be able to verbalize that, but it will be felt. And so I do feel this is the number one tip for a successful exit and sale of your home, at least energetically speaking. So, just to recap, I gave you 5 tips for a successful exit from your home if you're moving or selling. Number 5 is listening and discerning, really paying attention to what your home is telling you by tapping in to your intuition. Number 4, decluttering. Be intentional about what you want to take with you. What are you ready to let go of? Again, moving is one of the best times to really go through things that you've been avoiding for a long time. Number 3 is depersonalizing, removing personal items and neutralizing the space so that others can envision and feel themselves living in this space. Number 2 is giving your home a thorough cleaning. Hire it out if it feels like too much on top of all the other things you have going on in preparation for your move. And number 1, is giving your home a formal goodbye to give it a sense of closure and completion to your time spent there. You can do this through a space clearing ceremony or a cord cutting session, either physically or during a mindful practice such as meditation or a visualization. I will keep you updated on how our move goes. I have more topics and ideas I want to share as it relates to feng shui and the energy around moving or buying and selling real estate and so much more. So please make sure you're subscribed so you are notified of any new episodes as they come out. Just hit the follow button wherever you are streaming me from. In addition to the podcast, please check out the shop items available on my website, jadescottdesign.com. I carry small decor items for your sacred space, in addition to some of the space clearing items I mentioned earlier in this episode. And lastly, I've been looking for ways to pay it forward and give back to my podcasting community. And so from time to time, I will be sharing with you other podcasts that I have grown to love and ones that I think you might too. This week, I'm featuring the Real Life Momz podcast with Lisa Foster. Lisa and I have become friends through the podcasting community, and she's even had me on as a guest twice now. Real Life Momz is a self-help platform designed to help moms live the life they desire, featuring inspiring moms who share stories of overcoming obstacles, finding their purpose, and creating the life of their dreams. It's a must listen for all moms who are ready to invest in themselves and make a positive, lasting change in their life. I've put the link in the show notes for easy access. Be sure to check out the Real Life Momz podcast today. Thank you again for all of your support through your reviews and follows and tags on Instagram. You can find me there at Jade Scott Design. Until next time, much love and gratitude.